Dr. Ross, during your lecture earlier on, you said that you were convinced that the chronological sequence of the creation events in Genesis 1 is exactly correct. Just allow me to read a couple of verses here. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day. And then the Bible goes on to say, "And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day." Now, as an astronomer, do you honestly believe that the earth preceded the sun in the creation of the universe, especially given everything you said about the importance of the intergravitational effect of like the sun, the moon on the earth and the sun on, the moon and the earth and so on and so forth throughout the solar system? That's my question.
Okay, excellent question. And 2 points. You left out one verse in that sequence. It's verse 14, which says, "Let there be the great lights." And then there's another creation account you want to look at, Job 38, verses 8 and 9. Remember I made the comment you want all 20 creation accounts to be consistent? When you go to Job 38 and 9, it will tell you that God enshrouded the primordial ocean of the earth in darkness. He wrapped it in thick darkness, referring to the atmosphere, the cloud layer. So it was dark on the face of the deep before the 6 creation days, because the earth was enshrouded with this atmosphere that was opaque to light and that kept the waters below in darkness. So when you read the first creation day, it says, "Let there be light." Doesn't say that God made the light, doesn't say that God created the light. It says, "Let the light be." Therefore, what was taking place on creation day 1 is that God transformed the atmosphere of the earth so that the light that was outside could now pass through the atmosphere to the surface of the waters. So in creation day 1, the atmosphere was no longer opaque. It was now translucent. Then you get to creation day 4, and it says, "Let there be the great lights." Doesn't say that God made the great lights or he created the great lights. He says, "Let them be." And this is when God transforms the atmosphere a second time, so that instead of a translucent atmosphere, you now have a transparent atmosphere. Now, remember in my talk, I made the point that the point of view or the frame of reference must be established first before you interpret the text. The Spirit of God is hovering over the surface of the waters of planet Earth. Therefore, we're to interpret the 6 creation days from the point of view of an observer on the surface of planet Earth. And it starts off as dark because the cloud layer is opaque. The cloud layer becomes translucent, therefore there's light. But not until creation day 4 does the atmosphere become translucent. That's the first time observers can actually see the lights that have been responsible for the light ever since creation day 1. Then verse 15 tells you why, so they may serve as signs to mark seasons and years. And for whom? It's for the animals that will be created on creation day 5, the swarms of small sea creatures. And tomorrow we'll tell you why we believe that refers to the Cambrian explosion, which is that first moment when God creates life that is so advanced it needs the visibility of the sun, moon, and stars to regulate their biological clocks. That's why it says so that they may serve to mark seasons and years. Birds, for example, need to know the seasons and the years. And then verse 16 says, "So God made the sun, moon, and stars." But it's in the verb form, the completed form of the verb, the Hebrew verb, which means that God made the sun, moon, and stars at some unspecified time in the past, which means it could be day 3, day 2, day 1, or in the beginning. But based on Job 38, 9 and 10, we would conclude that they were made in the beginning, before the 6 days. Now, this is all described in more detail in my book, The Genesis Question.
Thanks.